Why do you collecting Chinese words like Pokemon cards? You know what I mean, right? You download apps, you make flashcards, you tell yourself, just the 500 more words, then I will start speaking Chinese. But here's what most language teachers don't tell you. There's this idea you hear a lot in language learning. David Wilkinson once said, without grammar, very little can be conveyed. But without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed. Sounds reasonable, right? That idea has shaped how teachers teach and how learners study for decades. And if you are like most Chinese learners, it's probably make you believe that you need a massive vocabulary before you can speak. But what if that idea was only half right? Because maybe you already know enough Chinese to start speaking and you have just never had the right space to try that out. So if you want a place like that, join our community today. You will meet friendly learners like you, get guidance from professionals, and learn to say more with less. You can start with just one sentence and we will help you make it sound natural. Links in the description. Now, let me show you what I mean. So let me show you something.
Good evening, your services. How can I help you?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Actually, my English is not good.
Okay.
But you know Tom and Jerry?
Yes, the cartoon.
Yeah. Jerry is here in my room.
I'm sorry?
Jerry is here in my room.
You have a mouse in the room.
Yeah. Please come here, and when you come here, bring Tom with you.
But we don't have Tom in the hotel.
Okay. Come, please.
Okay.
You see, he didn't know the word for mouse, but he got the message across, right? Think about how babies learn to speak. They don't wait until they know thousands of words. A baby point at something, say, wawa for water, use gestures, use context, and they communicate effectively. Now, I'm not saying you need to talk like a baby or act cute, but we can learn something powerful from how babies communicate with very few words. That's how you can learn to speak Chinese too. According to Stephen Caution, we acquire language in a predictable stages. You don't need to master everything before you start using what you know. Michael Tomasello found that children build language through usage. They take what they have and make it work. Jerome Bruner called this scaffolding. You use structures you already know to build new meaning. You see what I mean? That's how you can speak Chinese too, using what you already know without waiting to be perfect. Now, let's get back to the vocabulary idea. It's not wrong. If you know truly nothing, you can't say anything. But here's the thing. Maybe you already know a few Chinese words, or maybe you have just started. Either way, the key isn't how many words you know. It's about how you use them. Herbert Clark and Eve Clark found that the listener naturally filling the gap using context. Your listener's brain does half the work for you. Does that make sense? So here's what you can start doing, especially when you are learning Chinese. I call it 4-step low vocab communication method, and it's backed by research. Now, just to be clear, I'm using English examples to show how this works, but the same strategy applies when you speak Chinese. Step 1. Describe instead of naming. If you don't know the word microwave, say something like metal box, put food inside, wait, ding, it's hot. Tahiri Paripahat and Marjorie Weshert call this the descriptive comprehension strategy. Listeners fill in the rest naturally, and this works in Mandarin too. Your Chinese conversation partner will understand what you are talking about, even without exact word. Step 2. Use analogies and comparisons. Don't know the Chinese word for crocodile? Say the big laser in water. Your brain already makes these connections naturally. Use them when you are speaking Chinese. It's not cheating, it's smart communication. Step 3. Support with gestures and sounds. Point, mime, make noise if you need to. Michael Tomasello showed that the gestures and speech develop together. Jerome Bruner confirmed this too. When you are speaking Chinese and you are stuck, your hands can help you communicate what your vocabulary can't express. Step 4. Practice constrained output. Take 3 to 5 Chinese words you know well. Build sentence with just those words. Muriel Swin found that speaking with limitations actually improves fluency faster than trying to use everything you know. This forces you to be creative with your Chinese vocabulary, right? These 4 steps turns your small Chinese vocabulary into a communication toolkit. Let's walk through those same 4 steps and see what they look like in real life. Step 1. Describe. You want to say it's raining in Chinese, but you don't know the words for rain. You say, outside has water. Your Chinese-speaking friends get it immediately. Step 2. Analogy. Here's another one. You see a crocodile at the zoo. You don't know the Chinese word for it. You say, big lizard in water. Clear communication, not confusion. Step 3. Gestures. Now watch what happens when you are hungry, but you can't remember how to say it in Chinese. You mime eating and say food, food, plus you point your stomach. Universal, effective, done. Step 4. Constrained output. You only know 5 Chinese words: I, want, water, hot, and now. You say, I want hot water now. You say exactly what you mean in just the 5 words. You see what's happening here? PollNation found that just the 2,000 core words covers over 90% of daily communication. And those Clark researchers shows that the context completes meaning for the listener. You don't need fancy Chinese vocabulary. You need the right way to use a simple word. When you are learning Chinese, your goal isn't to impress people with big words. Your goal is to communicate, and you can do that with surprisingly little. Does that make sense? So, you don't need thousands of Chinese words before you start speaking. You can begin with the words you already know and use strategies like describing, make comparisons, adding gestures, and building sentences from just a few words. That's how you turn small vocabulary into real communication. If this approach makes Chinese more doable for you, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next lesson. And if you'd like a free guide for 50 practical phrases you can start using today, you will find a link in the description. I will see you in the next video. Bye.